And welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan, your host. Hey, I like to start these shows off somehow differently each time. So I like to put off the preliminaries of when you can hear us and where you can hear us and how you can hear us, and supporting this program financially, as well as the time of listening to that still small voice. I'll tell you what, I'm going to hold off on that because today's program I think you're really going to enjoy. I know I am because of my own personal experiences with this particular genre, but among other things, we have a very special guest on the program. Well, quite honestly, we always have a special guest on this program. They're all special, and Amy Sinha is no exception. All the way from the UK, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on Tell Me Your Story and sharing your story and the things that have brought you here to us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You are a musician, among other things. You're a singer.
Yeah.
We're going to be featuring some of your songs during the program today, and I'm hoping that our listeners will enjoy those. I know I did, and will continue to do so. Now, these are just three. I would assume you have, how many albums?
No, I have one album.
One album.
That has about,
okay.
Yeah, that has about 10 songs.
All
and
right.
then I have 3 singles. And then I also actually collaborated with a record label in New York. So we put out a single as well. I forgot about that one. Yeah.
But music is something that has allowed you to transform your life, which seems as though for many musicians today, and I have to say, I'm not a musician, but I can at least say that I am a singer-songwriter for one. I have one song. I have a whopping one song. But it is written, as your music is written from your own personal experiences, your emotions, and the process that you've got, the transformational process that you've gone through, right?
Yeah. No, it has. Especially my first album was my first album was a little bit different than you'd find. They're just literally like thoughts from my head, and I just wanted to put them out there. And the other, apart from that, my singles, they were definitely my feelings. So I kind of graduated from thoughts to feelings, which is probably a little bit of a strange way of doing it, but it kind of worked. So, yeah.
Well, and the other aspect of it too is that you make yourself extremely vulnerable. I mean, there are millions and millions of people, maybe billions, who are all connected up in social media. And a lot of times they will take pictures that will reveal, people will see their background. They'll see where they are. They'll see what they're going through. They'll see them. And there will be, I guess, what they call the trolling. Okay. Those knuckleheads who think that, actually, I think that those knuckleheads they feel inferior, so they've got to take somebody else down with them. But when you put yourself out there like that, that has to have been initially, and maybe it still is, it's got to be a little scary, a little unnerving, because now people know, oh my God, this is Amy? Wow.
Yeah. When I first started doing it, I didn't think about it because, especially when I was younger, I'm showing my age here, but we didn't have social media. So everything that I experienced was right there in person. But now that social media has come about, I wasn't expecting it. I mean, I've had extremely positive experiences, but there have been some negative experiences, especially on Facebook and YouTube, which I did used to let it affect me. I'm not going to lie about that. I did used to take it personally. And then I just reached a stage where I just I don't want to do this anymore. So I deleted my Facebook fan page, or my Facebook page, which had probably over about 5,000-6,000 people following me, because of the messages that I got. And not all of them were nice, as in they were from men, and they were very not nice, actually, very sexualized. And I just didn't know. I got overwhelmed with dealing with it because I didn't want to come across like I wasn't answering. But then I didn't want to message all of these random people that I didn't know. And it became too much that I had to delete that. and kind of start again. But now that I've come at it in a fresh approach, I kind of know I don't let things bother me as much, and I know how to deal with it more. Blocking is a great thing that I never really appreciated before, or maybe they didn't have that tool beforehand. So I like the block
Right.
tool. Yeah.
Well, first of all, there are artists, songwriters, singers, musicians, whatever the category you want, who it's easy to tell what the genre is that they're in, the category. And I know there are some artists who don't want to be categorized, and they work real hard to produce non-categorical music or material, if you will. Where does yours fall, if it can be defined?
Yeah, you know what? I never tried hard not to fit into a particular genre. It just happened. But I think I put mine, I guess a bit of jazz, a bit of pop, later on definitely a bit of country rock. So I think it kind of extends all genres. It depends on the person. I think I like to leave it to people. I know that platforms like to categorize and put it in particular genres because that's easy for them, but I really do think that people need to make their own judgment about that. I don't like categorizing or fitting into a particular genre.
We're going to take a break here to listen to one of your songs, and I would love for you to share with us the story, if you can, behind "You Make Me Believe."
Yeah, I really love this song because I haven't really been that successful on the romantic part of my life. So when this song came into my head, I was actually quite excited that I could actually write an upbeat, happy love song. So the story behind that, I think I was actually just feeling happy at the time, and I was just maybe feeling blessed. And yeah, this is where that song came from. And I remember making a jazz version out of this song, and it just did not work. And then when I just made more of a country version, it just kind of seemed to fit in because it has that storytelling with it as well. So that kind of it. This is my probably one of my only happy, upbeat love songs. There's one other, but this is one.
Well, we want to thank you for sharing your music with us here on the program. And a reminder, we're talking with Amy Sinha. AmySinha.com is the website. And actually, I believe that, that is correct, AmySinha.com. And that's Sinha, Sinha, the last name, and Amy, Amy. So we want you to stay with us here on Tell Me Your Story.
This is the
This is Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan. She is Amy Sinha, and I hope that you are enjoying the program today. We're going to bring you several songs of hers. And are these from your latest album? Or just singles?
No, they're just separate singles.
Just separate singles. And are there videos that accompany these? In other words, would people be able to say, go to YouTube and key in the words and Amy Sinha and see the video? Is anything yet?
Not for this one, but for the other two, there are videos on YouTube.
All right. Well, hopefully on our YouTube channel, we will insert those videos so that people can they can watch and get a closer look, as they also can watch these programs called Tell Me Your Story on the YouTube channel, Tell Me Your Story, Richard Dugan. I hope that you will go there to see Amy and yours truly. Listen to her music. I hope you enjoy it, and go to her website, which is amysinha.com. That's amysinha.com. I wanted to ask you before we listen to another one of your songs about the process. The song that I wrote, So Far One, took me from beginning to end probably 4 months, maybe longer. I've heard stories, of course, from some of my favorite musicians where I was on a ski lift and I wrote the whole song down on a napkin going up the ski lift at Tahoe or wherever, or in Aspen. But what is the process for you writing? And obviously this is your career, so it's something that you have to keep doing. Whereas I that's not my career. I just was doing it as actually part of, it was therapeutic for me. It was part of my therapy going through what I've been going through. And it was very helpful. So I'm curious as to your process when, I don't know, do you have to put out X number of songs, or are you just doing this at your leisure and when they come, they come?
Yeah, pretty much. The latter.
Okay, moving on. No, go ahead. Please share with us.
Well, I actually started writing poetry back in university. So after that, I did used to write poetry, but I then graduated on to writing rhyming poetry, and I would just test myself. I'd pick a subject, and then I would see what poem I could write that would rhyme and how good it would be. So I'd pick various topics. I even did one when my nephew was born. It was called something about the piano. So I was trying to write a child's poem. And then when I started writing songs, I found that came into play. So I'd pick a topic, I'd write lyrics, I'd write the first verse, and then I'd go to the piano and write the melody for it. And then as soon as I got that, I'd put the chords to it. And actually, it used to come quite quickly for me. So I think my first song that I ever wrote, I kind of wrote it in about a couple of hours with the lyrics and the melody. And then I would say probably over a week, I would kind of go over it and then kind of make it better and, change the words to match what I was trying to say. So that's kind of the process that I use. So I do it fairly quickly. If it doesn't come fairly quickly, I wonder if I'm supposed to be writing it. That kind of is my process, especially if the lyrics don't come too easily. If I'm struggling to write the lyrics, then it's the wrong lyrics that I'm trying to write. So the lyrics come first, and if they come easily, then I will sit down and write the melody, and then the song just kind of comes to it. So it does come quite quickly. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Do you collaborate with anyone? Because with my songwriting experience, and I was fortunate when I was growing up, going through high school, grade school, even in high school, I never really learned to read music, say proficiently, but I knew where the C and D and E and F on the music, I want to say the bass and treble lines would go, and I actually amazed my facilitator in the process of writing the song. She was amazing. My God, you know where those notes go. I always have to teach people about that, or I just avoid teaching them so we can just get on with the business of writing the song. So I had enough knowledge there. But do you have somebody that supports you or encourages you? And I'm going this direction with this. My facilitator only encouraged me to think of certain things in my life to incorporate into the song. She never offered words unless after I had written the line, she suggested a word instead of that word, use this word. See how that sounds. If you like that word that you chose, stick with it because it's your song.
Yeah.
Whereas I know a lot of people, they do it all by themselves. And I'm wondering, too, you ever have a thesaurus nearby to try to find the right word that rhymes with the two lines before so that it sounds the way you want it to sound?
Yeah. No, I actually do it all by myself. And you're right there. When I write something, it's kind of like the skeleton of it. So then I pick random words that rhyme. And then, as I said, I will go back and make it actually make sense and pick a different rhyming word if it needs be. So I kind of think my brain is such that I think and think and think, and I will sit there for hours to come up with something that means actually makes sense. But yeah, no, my laptop's at hand. If I need to, think of any lines that I Google, what does this mean, or something that rhymes with this. But yeah, I mean, I have people around me that kind of make me think, but they're more like family and friends, and I kind of bounce off kind of ideas that I could have. But as far as the songwriting, I do tend to do it by myself.
You just spend your time quietly in what some people would refer to as some might say their lonely writer's garret.
Yes, I do find that helps. I don't like noise behind me when I'm trying to write.
Yeah.
It kind of distracts me. So I do have to sit in silence, so for my brain to actually fully comprehend and work up what I'm doing.
As we take another pause to listen to another one of your songs, and this particular one, I'd like for you to share the backstory on Need You Here.
Yeah, well, talking about my first happy song, this was my second happy song today. And this one, I got a little bit obsessed actually with Nashville, the TV show. And I was kind of in that headspace, and I've always wanted to write a duet. So I was thinking, okay, I really want to write a duet. And this one, I think, again, I was in a happy place. And I have to kind of mark that out because it doesn't happen very often, whereas as far as my love life is concerned. But I was in a very happy place, and these lyrics just came to me. And yeah, it was a duet. And I have to give thanks to the guitarist, John Sudbury, who kind of made it come to life with his guitar. I think especially singers, think that it's all about them, and it's what you can bring. But since I can remember, I've worked with musicians, and the benefit with working with musicians since you were young means that you take into account what they can bring, and no man is an island, and the singers cannot do it alone. And it's the musicians as well who you play with that bring a lot to the table. So I have to give thanks to him and the producer of the track as well, to what they brought to it. And I think this one I actually made a video for, and this is actually on YouTube. So, yeah.
Well, we'll show that video as people sit and listen to this latest work by Amy Sinha, and this is Need You Here. I'm Richard Dugan. This is Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, and we want you to stay here as we listen to Amy. Amy Sinha is my guest. I'm Richard Dugan, your host. This is Tell Me Your Story, and we're listening to the music of Amy Sinha, and the music is also available through amysinha.com. That's AMYSINHA.com. We will be linked to your website, Amy, so people can go straight there as they're listening to or watching these interviews. Listening to them on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, as well as watching them on YouTube. We hope that the folks will subscribe to either or both of the outlets for Tell Me Your Story, and also link to and maybe even bookmark as well, amysinhouse.com. And I wanted to ask you the whole aspect, it seems as though, of many songs, most songs, I guess, has to do with relationships. And obviously the first two that we've listened to on this program have to do with your experiences with relationships, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about one of the most important, not the most necessarily, although some might consider it so, relationships that one can have in one's life. And that is the relationship that one has with oneself. Talk to us about, and this also goes to the aspect, as I mentioned earlier, of being a part of, what we encourage people to be a part of is the Decade of Perfect Vision, which is the 2020s, where we ask people to go within and listen to that still, small voice and find that quiet, peaceful place where they can relax, they can recharge their batteries, so to speak, and listen to and get encouragement and support and insight and education and wisdom and so forth from that voice. How does that play in not just your life, but in your writing?
Being introspective in 2020. Well, gosh, I played a lot. I mean, I've gone through a lot of stuff when I was young. I suffered from a lot of disabilities. So that in turn affected my confidence, and it affected how my musical career transpired in general. I mean, I don't think, because of my lack of confidence, I wasn't as out there as I could have been. I didn't put myself out there as if I hadn't suffered from all of these things. And my relationship with myself has been very turbulent and tricky over the years, and not very happy, I have to say, but that's me, that's me. So when I've written my music, and the first things that I wrote was thoughts, because I found it hard to express emotions and feelings. So, but by expressing my thoughts, that was a step in the right direction to these thoughts and feelings that you see people write about. You see, singer-songwriters always, I always say about singer-songwriters, whenever I used to see them, they were quite depressing, because they'd be there with a guitar and literally it'd be like really sad songs, like the melodies would just be like really like, oh my gosh, you want to kind of like have an alcoholic drink or something. So I never wanted to be like that. I always thought, no, I don't want to do that. So I always felt the need to kind of be not put on, because when it comes to other people, when I'm with other people, I'm kind of upbeat and positive anyway. So that's just a natural, it is natural. It is who I am. It is a part of who I am. So it was just putting that part out in my songwriting. And these songs that you're playing now was kind of not the end, because I haven't finished, don't get me wrong. So, but they're kind of on my journey to become who I am. And over the course of the past year, I have started to fully embrace who I am. So now when it comes to writing songs, I think I would do an even better job than what I've done before.
Well, I have to say that I was thrilled when we made contact and began this process of setting this interview up, because everybody is going through what they're going through. I mean, it just is. And whether you want to say they're going through it because of what I like to refer to as the COVID era, okay, or whatever stressors there are in one's life, whatever challenges. And in your case, you have an outlet, and that's your music.
Yeah.
Do you find that when you're writing these songs, that and then performing them, or let's just say you recording them to start with, that you feel a release that is okay. I've stepped up another step, on these on this on whether it's a ladder or these steps going up to wherever it is you're going, where we're all kind of going. Is that does that come through to you and you I can let that go now?
Yeah, it is, I guess, like ticking boxes, isn't it, of all the things that you want to do. So people make a list of, everything that they want to do in their life, even though they don't know what it is they want to do until maybe the next box that they've ticked, and then they get the idea to do something else. And I think that everything is a journey. And I think what I've gone through, especially with the musical side, has been a journey. I never thought I was good at writing songs. I used to avoid them as much as possible until I felt like I had no option. Because if you're just a singer, you're just a singer, and there is nowhere to go because there are thousands of singers all over the world and you're trying to compete. So that really kind of makes you feel a little bit depressed, and you're at a standstill going, okay, what do I do now? But then as a songwriter, it takes you up a notch, because then you've become a bit unique, and you've got a unique selling point that people can grab hold of and go, all right, that's Amy. I recognize that, rather than just, oh, that's Amy's voice. These are Amy's songs. And it makes you feel good. It made me feel good that people did that and recognized my songs, and actually recognized my lyrics. And every time I'd say something, you go, that's part of your lyrics. I'm like, well, okay, yeah, I didn't mean it to be, but yeah, that's coming out. So I think that everything is a progression in life. And if you're not progressing, there's something a little bit, maybe you have to take stock and go, well, do I feel like I'm not progressing? And kind of put things into practice to kind of pat yourself on the back and go, no, I've done that. I'm proud that I've done that. Okay, what's next? I want to, do the next thing that I can be. And kind of, it's not settling for who you are right now and kind of striving to be better.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always tried to do. And it's for myself, nobody else. It's striving to be better for myself. So I can, at the end of the day, go, I've done something new to be proud of. Okay, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and do something more. I'm going to do something more. Yeah, reach for the stars, or reach for another planet, so to speak.
Well, and I take the same tack myself in my career and just in life in general. The radio stations that I've worked for, I've often been asked, have you heard what the competition is doing? And I said, absolutely, no, I have no clue. So, what do you mean? Why not? Don't you want to, get above them? I said, well, I suppose, but my goal isn't to compete with them. My goal is to compete with yesterday, us. Right. Are we better today than we were yesterday? And how do we make us better tomorrow than we are today? And that doesn't mean that today was terrible, because there's always room for improvement. And the same thing with me and what I do in just living my life. Someone challenged me not long ago. I'm curious about your observation of this, about all of the mistakes that you've made, Richard. How about that? Talk about the mistakes you've made. And I don't know well, I kind of know where this came from, this wisdom, higher place, not from my mind. I said, I've never made any mistakes. I've learned. What you call mistakes, I call learning experiences. And then I had to take that to the next level, because I started thinking about that in the context of forgiveness. Now, I certainly believe that we need to forgive one another, as the Lord's Prayer, forgive those who trespass against you, yet if I haven't made any mistakes in my life, then I don't need to forgive myself. I don't need to waste my time, energy about forgiving myself and holding on to those things. I learned. I grew. That's why we go to school, right? That's why we're taught different things. And so I still encourage people to forgive one another. And if you're not at that space where you can say, oh, okay, those were all learning experiences. Then go ahead and forgive yourself because you're okay. Have you found that to be a source of inspiration, if you will?
Yeah. And I think that if you don't make mistakes, as you said, you'll never learn. But I think the only mistake you can make is by not learning and constantly making those same mistakes again, which we all do. Yeah. It's like, no, this is going to be different. And no, actually, you're doing the same thing, isn't it? So you do the same thing. How can you expect a different outcome? So absolutely. I mean, mistakes are not really mistakes. They are a way of progressing in life and making things better. It's true. If you don't know what you don't like or what you shouldn't be doing, then you'll never know what you do like and the best ways to do it. And I think we're such a society that we like to compete against each other, at school, running exams and things like that to always be the best. But what they really should, and I think they're starting to teach it in schools now, and it's just kind of competing against yourself, and it's being better than you were in your last exam, or you can do better for the next exam. So I think if we concentrated on ourselves more and stopped judging other people, which I know celebrity culture will love us to do, isn't it? To judge those celebrities. And I was reading was it Sex and the City follow-up just like that. I think Kristen Davis has had, she's been rumored to have plastic surgery, and she's getting a backlash at it. But then again, she's of a woman of a certain age. Now, we all know women of certain ages get fired because they're not looked on as attractive. So you've got, especially in Hollywood, the culture to look young. So, I mean, you're going to have a go at people like that. And I think that we just stop doing that and just embrace people for what they want to do. If they want to have plastic surgery, they want to have plastic surgery. That's fine. If you don't, you don't. I think stop judging other people and start judging ourselves and focusing more on how we can be better and how we can be better towards other people and not non-judgmental towards other people. I think society would be a much happier place.
When we come back from listening to this next song, I would like for you to share with us a little more about yourself and your background, but I'll point the questions in that direction. But tell us about this song, In My Mind.
Yeah, so I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite songs that I've written, because I think I was suffering from a bit of depression about that time. It lasts for quite some time, but this song I wrote when I was coming out of it, and I think it's the most relatable one because people really can understand. I mean, nobody is happy 100% of the time, no matter you try. There are circumstances that just won't allow it. You just feel insecure and nothing is going right. And I think it's important to know that everyone goes through those times. And it's important to also know that you can come out of it, even if it's just a little step at a time. And this song reflects everything that I was thinking and going through, and the fact that there is hope, even how minute there is hope. So kind of like grab it.
Yeah, Amy Sinha is my guest, and we're going to listen to In My Mind. She's all the way from the UK talking to us here on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, and I certainly hope that you enjoy what you're about to hear here on Tell Me Your Story.
All alone. real. I see a path ahead, an open door. I have never walked this road before, and now the silence doesn't seem so loud in my mind. I'm no longer bound in my mind. I'm no longer bound in my mind. I am bound.
This is Tell Me Your Story. She is Amy Sinha. AmySinha.com is the website. Of course, we are linked to her website as well. And Amy, it is a real pleasure to have you here on the program and sharing your music and your story. Tell us a little bit about your background. First of all, this program, of course, is designed with new paradigms for a new world, of giving people choices and knowledge of those choices. If they don't know those choices exist, well, then how are they going to choose them? And that's why I'm a firm believer in education, not just formal, but all around education, just continually learning. And that's what we are doing. Even when we're relaxing, we are learning. Oh, this is how we relax. Okay, well, I'm going to do more of this. What philosophy were you raised in as a child? And how has that changed over the years to where you are now talking with us?
Yeah, so I come from an Indian family, an Indian background, and we do believe that in everything is meant to be, in destiny, in karma. You know, what you do in your last life will affect what happens in your next life. But that the way of thinking about destiny can be a little bit limiting. But I kind of my philosophy has changed over the years after everything that I've been through, after everything that I've read. I've read a lot of spiritual books, and I've come to kind of a different understanding now, where we do have choice and everything can change if you believe it can change. Everything is about belief, but the belief system, if you believe it to be true, it is true, but you have the choice to believe something different. So every day can be different if you put the steps towards that as well. So, yeah, that is my philosophy now. My new philosophy.
Go ahead. I apologize.
That's okay. Yeah, no, that is my new philosophy.
Well, I will tell you that I find it interesting. You say you were raised in an Indian family. We're obviously speaking of India, correct?
Yeah.
How has that influenced your spiritual life to this day? Is it still a part of that, or have you, like I was born and raised Catholic, and I haven't turned away from the church. I'm just no longer practicing. But there's much of it. I love the mysticism. I consider myself a metaphysician. And so I'm curious about those kinds of influences. Are they still with you today?
Yes, they are. I mean, my family moved to the UK. I was born here. So we weren't really strict, like we didn't go to the temple and we didn't adhere to all of the festivals. So like 100 festivals every year celebrating every god that exists in the Hindu religion. So it would take a lot of our time, probably. We wouldn't do any work. But I still, obviously, most of my family are out there, and I still love, celebrating when they do and looking at pictures. I don't do those things now. I consider myself to be more of a spiritualist. But I do like learning about other religions, and I like taking what I like about the best bits about other religions and then incorporating them into my life, as well as the Hindu religion. But I like to look at all of them, because you'll find that a lot coincide with each other. A lot of different religions have kind of go through the same things at the same time of year. Their philosophies might be different, but it's kind of all the same. I kind of look at like most of what people believe to be kind of, it's all founding from the same source, so to speak. But yeah, no, I do, I'm very open-minded. I love learning about different things, why people believe different things, and whether I want to incorporate them is, whether I believe that they will be helpful in my life. And if so, then yes, I will.
Well, it is interesting the influences that we have, that we encounter throughout our lives. And one of the things, and you alluded to this a little bit earlier as well. I mean, I only use this random number because I don't know the real number. But I wouldn't be here talking with you if it weren't for the thousands of people that have been involved in my life for the 61 years I've been on this planet. And you gave so much credit to the musicians, and you're the gentleman who sang the duet with you in the previous song we listened to, and so forth. And I think that we've kind of lost our appreciation for the contributions that people have made in our lives. Maybe not so much you and I, but our society. And I find that that's something that we kind of need to get back to, because that's part of what makes us who we are. That's our community, right?
Well, I just find that everyone wants credit. They want sole credit for things.
Yeah.
They want to be center of attention. But I find that, again, that comes in competition. You want to be the best, you want to be the greatest, you want to stand out. But you forget that you don't get where you are by you alone. You get where you are by other people and learning experiences. I mean, again, no man is an island. You can't learn if you're on your own. I mean, it's not how it works. So you have to encounter people along the way that, yes, they give good experiences, they give bad experiences, but the bad experiences are good as well, because it teaches you a lot. It teaches you a lot about yourself. I was thinking the other day that you only know the character of someone is when something bad happens, when you have to go through, a struggle. I mean, everyone is great when the good times are rolling. Everybody's wants to appreciate you and, be your friend. But then as soon as bad things happen, it's kind of somehow you're on your own and you're friendless. So I think it teaches you a lot, and other people teach you a lot. And I love meeting new people because they all have a different story and they all have something that they can teach you. So I say that, when you're meeting people, no matter how significant they play a role in your life, they're always important. And we should always give credit to people who teach us or who add things to our lives. So that's why, yes, I contribute. I give major props to all the musicians out there who support, these artists, these solo artists, because they would not be able to do it by themselves. People wouldn't pay to go see them buy backing tracks, pay made like Taylor Swift. I mean, you're not going to have, her singing to backing tracks. You've got live musicians out there, dancers, people who are with them, the company, they can't do it by themselves. So yeah, absolutely. I think you can't do it alone. We can't exist alone in life.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more on that. And I certainly hope that people do sort of get that message that, hey, it is something that you have to put in the proper perspective, because without that proper perspective, it's like the universe has been very good to me in that it has helped me to stay humble. Because when I get a little too, as I use the phrase, get a little too big for my britches, the universe has a way of, sizing me down, and in a good way, in a gentle way, but still a way that says, hey, yeah. Okay, yeah, you've done this, you've done that, you've done the other, but you have to just calm it down.
I think everybody needs that. So whether you've got people in your life that actually will bring you back down to earth when your head gets, starts getting a little bit too big, and I think that's why, the kind of not so nice things happen to people. It is kind of the universe's way of saying, okay, just take a little bit of stock of where your life is at and how you want to proceed. But I think the universe is very helpful if you want it to be.
If you want it to be.
If you want it to be. I know, if you believe in God, people blame God when things go wrong, but when things go right, they're like, praise be, God is great.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like, oh God, why do you hate me so much? What have I done that's so bad? Instead of actually taking responsibility for yourself. And maybe it's not God. God just wants you to be you and just to do great things. So why are you blaming him when things don't go to plan, that you have it in mind. And it's just being aware, we all have the responsibility. So maybe we actually just take that responsibility and move forward. And I think that maybe we won't look as if we don't have control. We all have control over our lives. So just proceed as that and stop blaming other people for things that go wrong.
Amy Sinha is my guest here on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and I thank you for staying with us here on the program as we continue talking with singer-songwriter. You have a lot of other things that are going on in your life as well in terms of your career. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I did a bit of presenting. I kind of, while I was doing the singing, I had access to a lot of jazz musicians, actually from all over the world. They came to this little place of Swansea here in South Wales, and I managed to interview some really amazing artists and make a YouTube channel. And then also over the past year and a half, I've gone into voiceovers. So now I'm also a voiceover artist, but that doesn't mean that I'm not a singer as well, because I use that as well in my voiceovers. A lot of people request for singers as well as on my normal voice, but I can do many voices as well as accents. So which has helped. My singing has helped kind of. So I've kind of evolved from singing to speaking, and kind of vice versa. It's kind of incorporated into each other.
You know, there are some artists, some singers who have accents such as yours. Now, you probably don't think you have an accent because the people you're around all the time sound just like you. So it's the same thing here in the States. No, I don't have an accent unless I go somewhere else. And they say, oh, you have an American accent. How nice. But what I find fascinating is people who do have a pronounced accent. When they sing, I don't know where it goes, but it's not there. Not all of them. Not all. For example, one of my favorite artists, Adele.
Yeah.
When she sings, you can hear her accent. But I don't hear it when you're singing. Either that or I'm not listening hard enough.
I think when I started to sing, again, this was back in a day where accents weren't very popular, especially when you got newsreaders, you got local newsreaders. They didn't want, like I come from Wales, I've grown up in Wales, and they didn't predominantly want a Welsh accent. So they kind of drummed it out of you. So when I was learning to sing, when I was doing speaking, verse and prose, it was like, you can't speak in that kind of dialect. You have to speak in a general English. And that's what my accent is. It's a general English. So it's not a posh Queen's accent. It's not a Welsh accent, even though I can do a Welsh accent. It's just kind of your natural general English accent. And so then when I was doing my singing, again with the American accent, I can sing an American accent, but it's not your typical American accent, because, and this is no disrespect to American singers at all, but they kind of have a nasal kind of tone, where you find Mariah Carey, you do see it a lot. And so I kind of don't really like that. So I kind of moved away from that and to not sing with that kind of an accent. So it's training yourself. But these days, it's okay. It's great to have an accent. People want to know where you're from. So It's kind of popular. So I guess people stick with it. And I think it's just the times. It's just where we are, just in general, I think.
Well, I come from a lot of different places, and Ireland is one of those that I like to go to quite often, Of course, I can jump right into, well, I'm thanking you very much for calling the call center today, and it's wonderful that you are here. I love playing with voices. Love cartoons, would love to do voiceover animation. One of my favorites that I listen to here in the States, it's Hank Hill, and I deal in propane and propane accessories. I just have fun with it, and it's actually one of my first voices back in the 80s when I was working for a Christian station. They wanted me to do this commercial for a natural foods store that was opening up, and they had this bread, and I came up with this old man, who loved sliced bread made to order, you know what I mean, and then you throw a little bit of that other thing in there. I don't know what that is. And it's fun to do. It really is, and I know you feel the same way.
Yeah, it is. It is fun, even if I get it completely wrong. Like, do an American accent, an American person. Like, I don't care. It's fine. I'm enjoying doing this. Yeah, no, it is fun, and I think people, it brings you out of yourself. Especially with people who have kids, they want to read the stories and they do the different character voices, and I think that's kind of where it starts, isn't it? And I think actors find that they just become more free. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've become more free these days. I think with singing, I didn't allow myself to become more free, but definitely with the voiceovers, I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Well, and I am thanking so much for calling today, and we'll be back to you next week. Thank you so much. I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the program and for sharing your story and your music. People can hear more of your music, obviously, either on YouTube or on your website, which is amysinha.com, and we will be linked to that website as well. This is Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host. Amy Sinha is my guest. amysinha.com is the website, and we've been listening to her and her music on this particular edition of Tell Me Your Story. Amy, I have 3 final questions that I like to ask all of my guests.
Yeah.
You may have addressed them to some degree during the interview, but I like to ask them directly. And I realize that we haven't covered everything that we could be covering here. I'd love to have you come back again to talk more, and maybe we can share some more of your music with our listeners and viewers. But again, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. What are your 3 final questions?
My 3 final questions are coming in just a moment, but first I have to talk to you, the listener and the viewer, and thank you for listening and watching Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. Amy's getting anxious or nervous, I'm not sure which, but she's staying right where she is. But I want to let you know that you can hear these programs on Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., 9 a.m. on Wednesday mornings with the special edition of Tell Me Your Story. And we stream live at those times at richarddugan.com. We also encourage you to go to SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and other platforms across the internet to listen to the podcast, the full interview. Hope you'll do that. You can also watch these interviews on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and type in Tell Me Your Story and Richard Dugan. Just make sure that you're listening to the Tell Me Your Story channel with the guy with the hat, okay? And then we encourage you, if you can do so, we would love to have your financial support to keep this program, take care of the expenses, because there are those, and any amount is appreciated. And we have a PayPal account. It's there for your security as well as ours. I like PayPal being the middleman or woman or person or whatever. But anyway, when you go to send, put in my email address, richard@richarddugan.com. That's richard@richarddugan.com. And we'll take energetic support as well. And please participate in the Decade of Perfect Vision, the 2020s. Spend that time going within and listening to that still small voice and just being, okay, in that quiet, still, calm, peaceful place. Okay? Okay, Amy, I won't belabor the time any further. The first of my 3 questions. Who is Amy Sinha?
Oh God. Oh God, like all day. No. Okay, Amy Sinha. Okay, Amy Sinha is a unique but positive person that hopes to spread individuality on a mass scale to just make the world become more happier. Off the top of my head.
Number 2, what? The second question is, what is it that you hope to or want to achieve through the work that you're doing now?
I want to achieve, okay, I'm going to be a little bit selfish now. I want to achieve happiness for myself, because I think that if I'm happy, then the world will be happy, rather than if I'm not happy, then my negativity will spread. One person, it's a knock-on effect. So from what I'm doing now, I'm trying to, I've just suffered a lot through the years, and a lot of depression as well related to everything. So I just want to be happy on a daily basis and meet new people, and hopefully they'll be happy too.
And my final question, What is your life's purpose?
Oh God, you know what? I was doing a course at the beginning of the year, and that was the question. What is my life's purpose? Gosh, and I'm not sure I have any answer than I did back then. But I think my life's purpose, I think my life's purpose has changed as I've gotten older and I've experienced more and I've learned to understand what I'm about. I think it would be when you meet me. I'm quite small, so I stand out whether I want to stand out or not. Unfortunately or fortunately, so I think my life's purpose is to maybe alert people to the fact that there are different people out there. And I know that a lot of people can say that, but I am very unique, and there is no two of Amy. Otherwise, the universe would implode in itself, and no one would survive. So it is to just teach people about differences and acceptance, and that just because bad things happen, it doesn't mean you have to be a negative person. It means that you can spread positivity and be happy within yourself. So I think that is, in a nutshell, from what I can think of right now, that is my life's purpose.
Well, we thank you again for joining us, and we hope that you will continue to make your voice heard and speak your truth through your music, and we hope that you will share it again with us here on Tell Me Your Story in the future.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And I thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love to Lal.